All right. The Rambling Residency, current episode. Man, what's up, y'all? Rambling Residency, big content day here in the studio. Had my boy, Kava, DJ K Poppy, Geiger come through the studio, had a great conversation. Had a really great conversation this morning with him. So pretty pumped about that, man. That podcast, it's not a podcast. I gotta quit calling these things podcasts. They're not podcasts. They're commentaries. They're conversations. That commentary is gonna come out here in the near future. I don't know. I think I'll probably release this open edition Rambling Residency. I think I'll drop that first. But anyway, it is the 3rd of July, year of our Lord 20 and 26. America 250. Life is good, man. Life is good. It's a beautiful sunny day in the Northwest. Got the bay door open on the studio, and we are working. Like I said, I had oh crap, no. I just spilled a bunch of gray, no. Oh, that sucks, dude. No, oh crap. All right, please hold for this commercial break. We had Kava come through. We sat, again, naturally, we just talk about deep mindset, talked about entrepreneurship, talked about life, man. Because me and Kava, we're on that level, that mental level, just about life. And so, yeah, you're gonna have to check that out. But today, I want to talk about a couple things that came out this last week. I dropped 2 articles on my Substack. I would love to promote and share my Substack with you. It's just my name, jaredhavland.substack.com. And I want to talk about the importance of my Substack. Number 1. I would like to talk even more about narrative and why the artist narrative is so important. As well, I would like to maybe talk a little bit about the articles. We'll talk about the articles, and then I'll share them, both of them, in a link in this video description below for you to go check out. So, along with this artwork that I've been producing this year, I've been really big on narrative, really big on identifying. I've been really big on extracting. I've been really big on remembering. Narrative has become narrative itself has become a really big deal in my artistic practice, because I don't know, I got a book a couple years ago and it was about writing on art, and then I had this discussion in a sit-down conversation, another open edition commentary conversation with my good friend Kenji, who is also an artist. And he talked about narrative and writing about art, and he said some really fascinating things that stuck with me, and there is some truth to it. There's art does have an objective experience, but art also has a really subjective experience, and sometimes it's not about just showing a person a visual of artwork. Sometimes it's telling them a story of that artwork, because the story is just as much the art as the art is the art. And so I've become really, really sold on this idea of sharing my narrative and really writing about my work like I've never really written about my work before. So this week, I dropped 2 articles like I was talking about. And the first article is about discovering shape. It's about discovering different forms and having these forms come to life. It's a lot about graphic extraction, really. And it's about the awakening around graphic extraction. Like, I share the story of kind of how graphic extraction sort of just popped out on me. I share that story in there. I talk about the practice that led me to it. I talked about the feelings and the observations, and the big idea around it is that, and this is the larger theme of my work, that there's this underlying structure to all things. That is a massive, massive storyline in the second article as well. So I really, really like, I really want to focus on probably the second article, the one I just released yesterday. I want to focus on that article because I think it was the first time in my artistic career that like I saw it. The first article I was talking more about feeling and seeing something that was the same objectively, but in 2 different packages, right? Like, so all the things that were showing up in graffiti are also showing up in graphic extraction, this body of work, these shape compositions. Like, the same thing exists in both of them. The second article is talking about the first time I saw it, the first time I understood it, the first time. It's about the revelation moment I had in my life back in my early 20s when I saw it. And that experience had several factors, and one of them I didn't talk about in my article. I'll definitely be talking more about it in other pieces of writing. But the one major thing that I left out of this article, because it was focused primarily on when I discovered this with graffiti, a lot of the reason I was able to discover it was because at the time, in this story that I shared in the article, at that time in my life, yes, I had come back to the game of graffiti. Yes, I was practicing a lot and learning a lot. But it was at a time in my life when I began my building career. It began my career in manufacturing and fabrication. And so I went to school. Out in Spokane Community College here in Washington State. And I took the welding fabrication program out there. So I went to school and I got a little degree certificate of completion, Spokane Community College, a little degree on my wall over there, specializing in welding and fabrication. And part of that program, yes, is learning how to weld using cutting torches, simple fabrication. But I took several classes that were academic classes. I took classes on blueprint reading and layout. I took math and geometry classes specifically for that. Those math classes specifically for that kind of program, which you use a ton of, simple math and geometry in building stuff and laying things out. And so at that time, I was, yes, painting a lot of graffiti, but I was beginning to understand form and structure in a way that I had never understood it before. And so now I'm bringing in these new skill sets in a completely different practice that actually began to benefit my graffiti practice at the time. And that was kind of mind-blowing to me. I was starting to think in a completely different way. And it really showed up in my graffiti. But what set the thing on fire when I really hit the gas and took off was that moment from the article when I had that major revelation. So as the article ended, I started thinking about okay, well, what do I want to write next? What did I leave out here? Just more questions for the future around how I want to continue on that narrative and that narrative arc, and why certain things are very important and how they connect to what I'm doing. And through this whole process, I've just really been thinking not just about myself, but I've been really thinking about other artists and how they think about their own narrative, how they think about their own story. What are they sharing? What's important? And yeah, it's just given me a ton of insight. It's given me a lot of ideas moving forward about what I want to do with my writing and how it applies to this. I'm very excited to share more, obviously, but the overarching, the theme that runs through it all is heavily rooted in this idea that underlying all reality, all material form is there's an intelligence in structure, in math, and layout. It's something that permeates all of the known world, physical world, and all things that have been created. And that's a master That's a master narrative that I'll be pursuing over the next 30 years. But for now, I've been thinking a lot about the first 30 years. Oof. That is so whack. I do not like that at all. Ew. All right, I gotta revisit some stuff here. Yeah, let's see. As I was saying, I think what I'm coming around to is that I've got two different, part 2, 1 and 2. I have two major narrative arcs that I'm arriving at. 2027 coming up is going to be the year that I mark 30 years, man. Can you believe it? I started doing graffiti as a very young teenager in the year of 1997, man. In the last millennia. Last century, man. Hard to believe. But I'm old, man. And so with that, actually that needs to go there probably. Dang it. Bro. Oh, that's frustrating. So yeah, I began doing this stuff back in the late 1990s. 1997 began graffiti at 13 years old, and so I'll be coming up on that anniversary next year, and it's got me thinking a lot about 30 years of doing graffiti, doing artwork, having a practice like that, and what I've learned. What have I experienced? What have I learned? And how do I want to carry that forward? What am I going to do for the next 30 years? But a lot of this has been me thinking about what I learned in my first 30 years. And if I have to write a thesis paper, what did I learn in the first 30 years of artwork and graffiti? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna write. So yeah, kind of all over the place with this thing here, but I definitely have a lot of thoughts going around, and trying to kind of condense them all has been a test in its own right. But narrative has just been becoming this really, really important thing, and this art of mine is, at least this niche art that I do, this very specific graphic extraction here, is it's built on something very specific, and you wouldn't know it just looking at it. And so I have to communicate that, for one, and that's something I've really struggled with. Just as a person, man, I've really struggled with narrative because I'm such a complex thinker. Like, to me, there's like, oh, okay, we'll start talking, explain to me what you've been doing for 30 years. And it's like, dude, that's 30 years. Like, how do you unpack that? Yeah, how do you unpack that, right? And then how do you do it in a way that's like simple and digestible? And yeah, it's been a struggle to figure that out for myself. And so as I've unpacked it more and more of that narrative has kind of come to life. That greater narrative arc of, oh, through it all, here's what you've been seeing. Here's what you've learned. Most importantly, here's how I view the world. Here's how I view reality. And that's massive. That's so important for any artist to communicate, because that's what we're doing. We're communicating a vision. We're like, we like have this pair of like special magic glasses, but like nobody can ever wear those. They only fit on your face and only you can look through it. But like, I want others to experience it too. And the only way to do it is to communicate it to them, because they won't see it. And the art is one way of you being able to show them what you see. But then, there's also the meaning. And that's where the narrative comes in. And so that's just something I've been really, really working on and very excited to share. But yeah, I encourage everybody to go read these articles that I've linked below for your reading pleasure. Share a story about my buddy Asik, and God, it's been years since I've talked to this guy, but man, he's a character, and he was a really important mentor to me in that period, in the sense that like I learned a lot through just being around him and by practice, like watching him practice with his people, and that's important. I think we all need that. We need people we walk next to, and then we need people that we observe their practice. And so my hope with this channel is that in my own way, you as the viewer can sit down and like just be a fly on the wall through this practice, and just pick up little bits of wisdom or experiential wisdom that maybe isn't intellectual, or it's not intentional wisdom I'm sharing. It's just things that are popping out of my mind, or just you're watching. And if I can provide that kind of value to a lot of people, then I will feel really, really good about what I've been doing here. Because I've been fortunate to stumble along guys like ASIC and mentors. I've had several mentors. Some I liked, some I didn't like. Some I walked side by side with for a very short period of time. Some I walked side by side with for a long time. And they all teach us things. They're all guides. They're guides. Little journey guides in this life. And so, yeah, I encourage you to go read that article, and hopefully you learn something from it. Hopefully you take something from it. Ideally, I would love you all to like this video, comment on this video, even on the Substack. Go comment on the article, and go ahead and subscribe. I think last time I checked, I was at 99 subscribers. Man, one away from 100. I would deeply appreciate if you could be that one to bring me over 100. And let's just keep this party going. Let's keep it popping. And man, hopefully I can wrap up these paintings. This guy I started painting a month ago, and I wanted to have it be like a mirror. So I was trying to kind of paint it backwards, and I just could not get the layout right. And then I thought, no, it's more like this is the first half of a graffiti piece, and this is the second half. And it doesn't need to look the same, it just needs to continue to flow. And I feel like I sort of did that. Probably not to the best degree that I could have, but whatever. Sometimes they just come out. It is what it is. So hopefully next time we're on the Rambling Residency, these will be done, and there will be a new piece up, ready to go. More articles to talk about. Man, more conversations like the one I just had with Keva to be... Dude. You're gonna have to catch that Cavo conversation after this one drops. You're gonna have to go check out the Cavo conversation, because that one was fire. I feel like I exhausted all my wisdom for the day. You definitely want to go get in there, and yeah, if you're an American, Happy 4th of July. 250 years as a nation. Not all of those have been good years for us, for sure. But we are a nation. We're a free people. Sort of, hopefully. But I'm optimistic. And yeah, I love this nation. Fiercely love this nation. So I'm very grateful to have the home, the life, the studio that I have. And if you're not an American, shout out where you're from in the comments. Tell me where you're from, because I've traveled around, I've seen some other countries, places, and I love and I'm open to culture and language. Definitely language. I've learned a couple languages and I'm fascinated by language. So any friends from all over the globe are my friends. We're all neighbors on this little space rock. And so, yeah, love you all. And we will see you on the next Rambling Residency. Let's go.